Greetings, friends. It's your friendly neighborhood PhD, Dr. Judd Burton. Thank you all for joining me. And as always, if you like the content, click a like, subscribe, and share, if you will. Would appreciate that. A few bits of news today on the Beyond report. The first thing I'd like to talk about is the Institute of Biblical Anthropology. And those of you who've known me for any length of time have probably heard me talk about that, know about it. Um, if you want to learn more about the Institute itself and its aims, I'll leave a link in the description. It's usually there anyway, and you can check it out on your own. But suffice to say that I study both orthodox and kind of fringe topics under the auspices of the Institute of Biblical Anthropology. And I also offer coursework through the Institute of Biblical Anthropology. And you're probably asking yourself, well, why should I take courses uh, from this institute of yours? I mean, there are lots of other qualified biblical scholars out there that you could be taking courses from. You could take university or college or seminary classes if you're so inclined. All of that's true. There are plenty of capable biblical scholars out there, a number of whom are my friends and colleagues. But I think that I offer something different. I have a different perspective. Since I wear the shoes of three different professions, historian, archaeologist, and anthropologist, I can bring the sort of multidisciplinary training to bear on, again, both these orthodox topics and kind of fringe, if you will, biblical topics. Now, what are these classes like, you might be asking, and what is biblical anthropology anyway? Well, anthropology is, in general, the study of the human being in the broadest sense, the study of culture, the study of the material remains of humans, the study of human languages and physical remains, biological remains of humans. When you apply these methodologies to the study of the Bible, you have biblical anthropology. And in some ways, biblical archaeology is probably the most popular and well known facet of biblical anthropology, but it's only one part of this larger methodology. And um, you can tease out elements of culture when you look at the Bible, you look at the biblical text like an anthropologist might look at an ethnographical transcript, that is, a cultural study that they may be doing. Um, and so you can take coursework through the Institute on these kinds of topics. Biblical anthropology, you can take biblical ethnology, which studies the various ethnicities and cultures and societies of the biblical world. Biblical geography, which is kind of self-explanatory. It's a historical geography. You can take biblical archaeology, which is a summary of the material remains left in the biblical world. There are courses like the history of the church, the early church. You could take courses on biblical languages. Right now, I have an introduction to biblical languages, which is very summative, but you're introduced to the languages like Hebrew and Greek and the rudiments of even later languages that were used, such as Latin, in the course of the various writings and then the later translations of the Bible. Um, so there are a host of topics in the core, if you will, that you can take. And you can also take electives like giantology, which studies the giant tribes of the Bible. You could take biblical demonology, which studies the sort of the demonic hierarchy as a culture through the lens of the Bible. There are courses like the Apostles and the life of Jesus, which are kind of biographical in nature. And I'm always trying to drum up and develop new classes as well. And you would be most welcome. I have students from all walks of life. I have people who are engineers and people who are artists who have taken from me, and housewives who have taken classes, and they've all been just tremendous students, and you would be welcome as well. And you have options, good options right now, because I've got some things on sale. You can take individual classes for $25, or you can take the entire module and earn a certification in biblical anthropology. And look out for new certifications that expand on these topics. But for right now, that's kind of a summary of the coursework that you can avail yourself of through the auspices of the Institute of Biblical Anthropology. I've described it before as kind of Sunday school meets the X-Files. I'd like to say that it's a fresh approach to a lot of this material that focuses both on the more orthodox, straightforward theology, but also, the weird stuff that's in the Bible. We all, as believers, we subscribe to a supernatural reality, and of course that's very much present in the study of the Bible. And so if you're interested, again, I'll put a link in the description as always. And again, I welcome students from all over with open arms, and you would be most welcome. In other news, recently there was a cache of Phoenician figurines, basically. They were from a shipwreck during that period, the sort of late, I guess what would be late Bronze or early Iron Age, that depicted the various Phoenician deities, many of the same deities that you'd find in other Canaanite pantheons, which basically the same kind of religion. But the article in the New York Times illustrates a couple of things. There are a number of things that struck me. It illustrates how, sometimes not all the artifacts in a find get the diagnostic attention that they really need initially, and they may sit on the shelf for years after they've had a sort of rudimentary once-over, but later scholars come along and say, "What's this?" And they explicate the details of the find and are able to apply it to the history of a given culture, in this case the Phoenicians. And there were some interesting tie-ins to not only Phoenicia proper, but also other colonies that the Phoenicians had throughout the Mediterranean, most notably the Carthaginians in North Africa. And I was delighted to see that an old friend of mine, an archaeologist named Dr. Aaron Brody, whom I met 20 years ago while I was in grad school, weighed in on this collection with some really, really good insights. He's done a lot of work in maritime archaeology and Philistine and Phoenician culture. So I'll put a link to the article in the description, and you can go and read about this very fascinating find yourself. In other news, many of you asked me about, since we had to cancel the physical meeting of the Sons of God 8 conference, what is the status of the conference? Well, we're going to do a digital conference, and of course a lot of my energies toward that were sort of peripheralized in the wake of my mother's death and tying up some loose ends. But we are going to do a digital conference, and if you've already purchased tickets, of course, hold on to those. What I'm doing right now is getting everybody together to record their presentations, and I'll keep you posted when that's ready. I had initially hoped that it would be ready this month, but it's looking like it's probably going to be October. But I will keep you posted on that, and definitely keep us in your prayers as we put this together, because we still want to get that information out to you. I'll also be debuting a new project, a new show that I'm excited about with a friend of mine, Mr. Cliff Owen. and it's called the X-Plorers Club with a big X. As he describes it, it's history notes and anecdotes. It's kind of history, culture, travel log, but it's going to be pretty fun, and we'll talk about a myriad of topics that deal with history and the paranormal and biblical studies and places that we've traveled to. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about it. I'm also planning some commentary pieces under the auspices of Burton Beyond on a couple of upcoming movies, most notably the Dune adaptation that director Denis Villeneuve will be producing, and a longtime fan of the Frank Herbert novel, and I'm going to weigh in on that, a lot of these anthropologically. I also have on tap some analyses on the upcoming the Batman, the latest iteration of that. So those will be some more lighthearted kinds of programming that I'll be debuting before too long on this channel. And also stay tuned for more Antiquity X and Sunday School X episodes. I hope to have at least one of those done for this weekend. So again, I've regained my momentum. I'm excited about getting back to this and looking forward to bringing more of this timely and valuable content to you, I think. So until next time, as always, thank you very much. Let's see how far we can take this, because you're part of it. And click a like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you next time. Godspeed.